But who am I to judge? I got my own problems, so I'm not the one. When things get dark, I'll be in my own mind. So even in the crowd, I'll be more so alone. Expectations, Wale. I want to talk about expectation levels. I've gone through life, as if you have listened to the past episodes, you kind of know a little bit of the backstory. But my expectation level of people was quite high at one point. I saw that no one can do wrong. They can do wrong, but not to a diabolical degree, I would say. But I have grown accustomed to having lower expectations. I went through life really trying to just get people just to understand, to see the pain behind the mask. And that thirst of validation, or just to, know that everything's going to be okay. I get it. I understand, and I'm on your side. I get it. And I have come short, people have come short in my life. It's like that trust exercise when you have to fall back and that person has to catch you. Well, I felt the floor quite a few times, but it's okay. I'm still alive. But it's true. It's something that it comes from being even in childhood. There is an expectation as a baby that you are going to be taken care of, and it's not something that you have to grow to do. It's automatically wired into your brain as a baby. I was born, and this person or these people are going to take care of me. And we go through life with that same outlook, or at least I did. And sometimes you don't take care of that baby, I've gone to the point where I wasn't even taking care of the baby inside of me. Because I grew accustomed to it. I grew accustomed to being by yourself, and I was alone in my own cave, my own dark cave. And at first it's quite uncomfortable. You don't like it. But then it's something that it's nostalgic after a while. And that solitude of going within is the only thing that you know how to do. And I've done that for years. Quite okay being alone in this cave. And I don't, it's not easy for me to register a clean slate, I would say. I've done it time and time again, but it didn't make it correct. But what I would do, my process was, it was like a setup for the person, and it was bound to fail. I was bound to fail them and fail myself, in a confirmation of, this is the reason why you're supposed to be in your cave. This is the reason why you deserve your cave. That's why it's there. And I would do that maladaptive daydreaming and I would go in my head and I would automatically have this scenario in my head of how things should be, how things should have went. And even meeting people in a more intimate level, that expectation was so high that, it's like an anime, and I've said this before, but I'll have an expectation level of, I'll meet this person or meet this group of people, and, they're going to be like, what's her deal? Why is she like this? And finally, confessions come, they tell them what the problem is. And the group of misfits were just like, oh, all you had to say was that, and the bond is closer. And it's a happy ending. That didn't always go that way. And matter of fact, a lot of times it did not go that way. And I set this person up for failure because my expectation was, it's supposed to go like this. I'm finally going to get my golden ticket. And when I didn't get my golden ticket, it was confirmation of, well, this is the reason why, you don't get golden tickets, Toya. But life is not always that way, and you have to learn your lessons to be realistic, but not have unimaginative variables, So I would go into this daydream of life and not really put real thought into it. I'm always the type of person that likes to go deep with people. I will go deep with you for hours, but that doesn't make it necessarily conducive to other people. Some people just don't get that, a lot of times, we all put expectations on ourselves and we put expectations on other people. And if someone does not rise to the occasion, it's automatically a write-off. We live in a culture of canceling someone out, and I've been guilty of this as of late. But that same understanding that I am expecting people to have, I'm upholding them to have. And especially in the past, I desperately needed someone to understand I don't reward it as I should. And that doesn't make it right. I have to actually practice what I preach. And that lack of expectation of people, it kind of deems cynical, really looking at it. It's a cynical approach to humanity. And it really should be high hopes. But that starts with self, So there's a lot of things that I have high expectations with myself with, If you need, something to get done, work ethic, stuff like that, I'm your girl. I got you. You need words of encouragement, I got you. But other things in your life, I tend to fall short, and I have, working on it, and some things I have to address in order for me to keep growing. As soon as you stop your growth, you become stagnant. And for what I want to do in my life, the purpose that I have to grow. I have no other choice. So it comes to addressing the fear of vulnerability at this point. When you finally take off the mask and you're able to just to show it, to bear it, and not care of anyone else's expectation. And I've fallen into that sometimes. You ever meet a person, they do something so right, so like flawlessly, that now you expect them to do everything else just as great. And it's like a huge letdown if that person does fumble, and people do that all the time. Look at celebrities. It's like a huge shock of like something in real life, something that happens to all of us. If it happens to the person, then that celebrity is labeled as it's like a catastrophe, and it's not. It's life, So you can't deem someone as that. That's a very hard fall for that person if you set it up in their head that they're supposed to be on this pedestal in your mind. And I was doing that. I was doing that to a lot of people. Every person that I finally was just, okay, I'm gonna bear it all to you. My expectation level was so high, and I didn't put this into the equation that sometimes people have their own stuff to deal with. Sometimes their hands are too full to carry you, and not everyone is supposed to carry anything that you have. You have to hold your own weight. So I grew accustomed to being in this cave. And yeah, most of the time I'm out and about nowadays. But the cave is still there. But now there's some windows. Some light does shine through, I've done a lot of renovations of the cave. Because I know that, yes, this is a safe place for me. This is my go-to. I've done this since I was a child. Because sometimes the world is just a little bit too stormy. And sometimes it hurts just a little bit too much. That my cave is now endearing. And it's like hearing rain. It's that warm, cozy feeling. And that's not necessarily healthy. That's dysfunctional if you think that the best place for you to be is in a dark cave. We are not bears. We are not bears. We are human beings. We are social creatures. But you have to find your team. You have to find your tribe. And once you're able to do that, you're good. Now, thankfully, the only reason why this cave has windows and a door that I can go in and out of is because I bared my soul to God. I bared it all. And pretty much He's helped me to do some clean up. Get your stuff together, girl. Address some of those things, and that the heavy lifting, God's pretty much has taken over, and I was allowed to address a lot of stuff. Some other things, He knows that you need to tend to it. I'm not perfect, and neither is anyone else. But I've learned a few lessons along the way that you need to address this expectation level. That it cannot be so high that that person is now not a human to you, and that person is your fairy tale of how life should be. And it can't be too low where you feel like good riddance and it's cancel culture. And you have to have some kind of in between of, you have to be that person. You ever meet these type of people that they go through life and it doesn't matter what happens. They can meet someone and it's just que sera, sera. And, whatever happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And they're cool with that. They're okay with that. I used to just look at them and just tilt my head and just be like, I wonder how life is like for you. And in some aspects, I've gotten to that point. Some, not all. There's just still some people that I need to have a healthy expectation level of and just let it go and just be, it's just like life happens. I get it. If I was in your shoes, I probably would do the same damn thing. But I have to get to the expectation level of it. But you can forgive someone and still expect for them to fail. You can forgive someone, and not place them in the right category that they're supposed to be in. There's no true forgiveness if you do not give someone a clean slate. And even though I've forgiven a lot of people, and I've forgiven myself in a lot of things, I still have yet to put me in the right category I'm supposed to be in some aspects of my life. I still panic sometimes. I still have fear sometimes, but I have gone through with God of faith over fear. And even though you don't know where you're going, you don't know how, if you're shaky on some things, that God's got your hand. It may not look like what it is right now, but I have a plan for you. You just got to know when to move, when to sit, and follow directions. And that just takes pure obedience. I'm being obedient in my storms. And I do this not because the Bible, sermons tell me to do it, or anything like that. I do it because I know what God did for me. The last thing I was doing, I gave up. I gave up, and God was the only one that I was able to have powwows with, without judgment, without I told you so's, or the classic whispering of behind the backs. It didn't go down like that. And they're completely grateful for it. The gratitude that comes with that, I can never leave him. I can never leave him. But that also deems me having to be a representation of him and learning his ways and applying it correctly. So some things I got down pat. And there's some things that I need to work through. And God knows you need to work through some stuff. But I think it comes when you're able to address it. You are now able to try, to fix it. And not for nothing, the whole reason why I did this podcast was because my expectations were too high and people let me down, or people use that expectation to harm me. But I want someone to know that if you're going through that, you're not alone. You're looking for a tribe. Bear it to God. And if you're talking God's ear off all the time, and he's like, child, you know what to do at this point, I'm here. There are good people out here. We're all striving. There's good in everyone. I don't care who it is. I don't care what happened in your life. There's good in some people, just in everyone. And even if you can't find that good person, be that good person. Be that light. Now, I know my cave has evolved and has windows and, a door now. But very soon, I have to move out of that cave. And slowly but surely, the moving boxes are, they're leaving. The house is getting less cluttered. And yes, sometimes it happens slowly and sometimes change happens rapidly. But I'm so proud that God's worked with me this far, and so grateful that there's one less box. Because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was being a hoarder of pain. I could not do it. So, as I say again, it's nothing but love, and having that expectation level of people. Hopefully, we can get to a point, and I do believe we are capable of doing this, that we don't have to have a high expectation level, and people do not come up to the occasion. As a matter of fact, I'm going to switch that. I hope that even if someone does not meet your expectations, there's still a level of understanding that it's okay. And if someone has a high expectation of you, that you still are on your shelf. You know exactly where you're supposed to be, and you know exactly what you bring to the table. You can't help anyone unless you help yourself. And I'm now identifying where that shelf is, where I belong. It took 34 years, but I know my shelf, and I'm tired of being in this dark cave. I'm ready to leave the cave, and it will happen. So I'm going to leave you guys off that night. I will talk to you guys next week. You guys have a good one, all right? Good night.